Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update on the current situation here in Spain. Day 80 of the current crisis, that's right, day 80. And today's video is all about freedom of movement here in Spain. We're going to get some freedom of movement between provinces in the next few weeks. So we are looking forward to that. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to all of the people that bought merchandise and thanks to my patrons on Patreon. So let's have a look at some of the news that has caught my attention over the last couple of days. And as I said, it's all about mobility or movement again here in Spain. And as we can see here, that the government will allow mobility between provinces from June 21. The mobility between provinces that was restricted with the decree of the state of alarm from March 14 will be definitively lifted on June the 21st so that it will be possible to circulate between provinces. Now remember that here in Spain, freedom of movement has been restricted to the province that you are living in and even to the municipality that you have been in up until recently. And this is a change that has been announced for areas that are going to go into phase 3 on the 21st of June if everything goes according to plan and there are no outbreaks of the virus again. However, yesterday, the Minister for Transport and Mobility, Mr. Ábalos, said that there might even be an advancement of mobility between communities from June the 8th if supported by health data. He assures that in phase 3, it could establish mobility within the same community or between communities that are in the same phase. So again, at the moment, still not quite clear what's going to happen, whether it's the 21st or whether it's going to be the 8th, but good news there for people that are looking to move between provinces or communities here in Spain. There are a lot of people that have family members in other areas. Lots of people here in Madrid have family in Castilla y León, Castilla-La Mancha, and they haven't been able to visit them for the last 3 months. So people are looking forward to some type of mobility or movement between provinces as soon as possible. But again, it will depend on what phase you are in. And as I said, if there are no outbreaks or setbacks regarding the health situation. Now, the government is also planning to lift the quarantine regulations that it has in place for visitors coming to Spain on June the 21st. This was also set for July the 1st, but it's also been brought forward apparently. And we can see here that the Balearic Islands have made this request to the government, but it will depend on European agreements. Again, Mr. Ábalos, the Minister for Transport, Mobility and Urban Agenda, confirmed this Monday, June the 1st, that the Balearic Islands will leave the state of alarm on June the 21st, the date on which it will abolish the mandatory quarantine for foreign tourists. In this way, the archipelago is ahead of the rest of Spain, which will open up to international tourism and will eliminate this measure on July the 1st. So as we can see, the wheels are starting to be set in motion for foreign tourism to return to Spain. But I'm led to believe that foreign tourism will mainly be from countries that the government is negotiating with in order to have some safe type of travel and these safe travel corridors that they have been talking about for the last few weeks. However, not good news for the British, as we saw yesterday in the British press and some of the Spanish press. And again, according to which paper you read, this was either sensationalist or not. And we saw tame headlines like "No early return for UK tourists, say Spain." We also saw headlines like "Spanish Health Minister bans British holidaymakers until UK's coronavirus situation improves." And we also saw ones like "Costa Blockta." Spanish Tourism Minister dashes holiday dreams for thousands of Britons after saying UK government must improve its COVID record before they will be allowed in. Now, this is all related to an interview that the Tourism Minister here, Ms. Maroto, gave over the weekend, where she said that she was negotiating with certain countries and certain travel companies the safe return for foreign tourists. And we can see here that she said regarding the United Kingdom, the first issuer of tourists in the country, that although there have been talks with tour operators like TUI and Jet2 Holidays, there the data still has to improve, since for us it's important to ensure that the person comes well and they come back well, or they return to the UK well. In fact, the British authorities themselves do not yet recommend travelling abroad, so British tour operators do not want to operate at the moment, according to the minister. So there we go. According to this, it's not necessarily Spain that doesn't want British people to come, but it's the British government and British tour operators that don't seem to feel that it's safe for Britons to travel abroad yet. So there could be a bit of a setback to many people's holiday plans for the summer if this is the case. But again, hopefully the situation will improve in the UK over the next few weeks as it has done here, and we will see some type of international tourism return and British people coming to their favourite holiday destinations here in Spain. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Now, related to the health situation here in Spain, we can see from this article here, these are the provinces with the highest risk of regrowth of the virus, or outbreaks, let's say, of the virus. And we can see here that due to their population density, Madrid and Barcelona are the cities with the highest risk of contagion in Spain, but not the only ones. The provinces of Castellón, Cantabria, Guipúzcoa, due to the concentration of populations at risk, and Toledo, Segovia, Salamanca, or Navarra, due to their health coverage, require more protection measures to prevent a new outbreak. So we can see here that in certain areas in Spain, people still treading rather carefully with regard to possible contagions and outbreaks of the virus in the future. And again, mainly the big dense cities are the ones in question, the Madrids and the Barcelonas, where, as we have seen over the last few months, have been the most affected areas because of that dense urban population that they have. Now, on a more somber note, we can see that funeral homes reveal that the actual number of deaths from the virus is 43,985. A report by an organisation called ASPROF uncovers 15,876 more deaths than those found in official data. Madrid and Catalonia would double their death figures if this report is true. Now, infection rates and the number of deaths has been one of the big talking points in Spain, as a lot of people can't understand the changes in the numbers that the government has been reporting over the last couple of weeks. I think here in Spain at the moment, officially, there's something around 28,000 deaths, but as we can see here, some reports are reporting up to 43,000 deaths, and there was the case last week of the government coming out and saying that there were 2,000 less deaths than previously reported. Now, here in Spain, they call this a baile de números, like a numbers dance. And we can see here that active cases go down because of a numbers dance. What this means that there is some type of manipulation in the figures, or maybe the data sources are different, or they're getting different reports on different data from different areas around Spain. Therefore, the numbers dance. So it's a bit confusing at the moment to know exactly how many people have died, how many active cases there are, because the numbers seem to be changing on a daily basis. And yesterday, health records showed that there were no deaths from the virus in the last 24 hours. There are still differences between the data provided by the autonomous communities and those reported by the health department, such as in Madrid, a region that has reported 11 deaths in the last day. So again, not quite sure what's going on with the numbers here in Spain. A bit confusing, but it's all part of the process at the moment. Now, some more news that I have found difficult to understand is related to the unemployment figures. We can see here that there has been a rebound in employment in May. 188,000 new people have signed on to the Social Security, and 388,000 people have left their temporary redundancy plan. The labour market began its recovery in May, accompanying the de-escalation, but there are still 700,000 fewer contributors than before the crisis. And another newspaper has reported that unemployment has increased by 26,573 people, the highest rate in history for the month of May, and stands at 3.85 million. So one newspaper reporting a rebound and another one reporting that there have been more job losses and the worst May in history. So a little bit unsure which to believe at the moment, but obviously the situation is not good if you have a look around you. Now, I also said the other day that one of the reasons for some recent outbreaks in the virus here in Spain was due to parties. There have been reports of illegal parties over the last couple of weeks, and at least one party in Tomelloso, which is a small city in Castilla-La Mancha, really took the cake on this, as allegedly there was what they call here in Spain a botellón, a macro botellón. Difficult to translate into English, but what happens is that lots of people come together, normally in an open space. They buy their alcohol from a supermarket and they drink it in the street with their friends, with music. They have a big celebration, and apparently there were at least 500 people participating in this macro botellón, despite being in phase 1. We can see pictures here of the event. Lots of rubbish there on the ground and lots of people together. Still, again, not really clear on how many people were at this party. Some people say 3,000, some people say 500. Not really sure, but a lot of people together in the same space. And of course, that town is now worried about an outbreak in the virus in coming weeks. So we'll see what happens there. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from the last video. One here from Matthew: I would be thankful if you can talk about salaries in Spain, especially for IT jobs. You have previously talked about it qualitatively, like high or low, but I wish to hear more quantitatively. One Spanish friend of mine told me that a net salary in Spain for a junior IT specialist in medium-sized cities can be something around 22,000 per year. Is it true? Then how much is the cost of living? Yeah, Matthew, good question. I'm not an expert on salaries in that particular sector, but I'm sure that somebody in the comment section will leave a reply to you on how much you can earn in this sector. I know that there are a few people out there in the audience that work in IT here in Spain. 22,000 sounds about right for a lot of junior jobs here in Spain. And to be honest, it's not a great salary, but it is what it is. And the cost of living depends on where you are. If you're in Madrid or Barcelona, the cost of living can be quite high. There's plenty of places on the internet where you can check the cost of living and see what type of money you're going to have to fork out every month in order to live well in these cities. But if you're able to work remotely, working in IT, and not have to pay the exorbitant rents of a city like Madrid or Barcelona, I think you could survive on 22,000 euros a year. But again, a lot of Spanish people that are working in that sector and earning that money are probably living at home and they don't have that accommodation expense. One here from Chaz: time to drop the stupid phrases and learn to live with the virus, because not a single day will pass this year without an infection somewhere in Spain. Yeah, Chaz, I agree. It's probably a good time to stop the stupid phrases. We're going to have to live with this now. But at the moment, a lot of people are still trying to come to terms with the situation and obviously trying to work out the impact that it's going to have on their lives. But you are most likely right. Pretty hard to see a day go by this year in Spain without an infection, but hopefully they will be limited and we won't go back to the severe lockdown situation that we had a couple of months ago. That's all I'm hoping for. One here from Belinda: hi Stuart, thanks for all the info. Maybe Benidorm doesn't want to open its beaches until international travel resumes. I think that June the 15th is the date that has been set by the EU for most of its member states to open up for that. Yeah, Belinda, you could be right. We saw before that June the 21st is the date that the Spanish government is aiming for here, and at the latest July the 1st. That could be one of the reasons for Benidorm not opening the beaches, but I imagine that the problem that they have there, as I said the other day, I don't think they have the measures in place to be able to control the huge number of people that go to beaches like Benidorm or other places there on the Levante coast. I've never seen beaches as crowded as those ones in my life. Coming from Australia, yeah, we go to the beach. Beaches can get crowded, but to the extent of Benidorm and some of the ones there, I've never seen that before. And to be able to control that amount of people, going to be hard. Another one here from Colonel, also on the topic of beaches. He says, beaches are big, beaches are open to the air, stupidity. Yeah, you're right, some beaches in here are big, but they also get very, very crowded, which is what I just said. Maybe you can find a beach in Cádiz, maybe you can find a beach in Galicia. I know there's one called La Lanzada, which is a really long beach, and maybe you can find a space there with not too many people. I've seen some other countries around the place where beaches don't get too crowded, but that Levante coast, as I just said, is an absolute nightmare for beachgoers. And there's even cases here in the summertime where people have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to stake their claim on the beach. Some people get up, get down there early, put their umbrella in the sand, they guard their position, and then they come back later in the day and enjoy that space. I've never seen that before I came to Spain, but it happens here quite regularly in the summer months on some beaches in Spain, particularly in that Levante area. One here from Badger: my wife and her mother had her payment last Saturday, which was a huge surprise and a relief for her. Phase 2 in Valencia and a lot of people about. On the terraces, there are no masks worn from what I have seen. Our cafe has just opened up and it's been great to sit down and have a cerveza. Yeah, Badger, good to see that you are enjoying a cold beer on a terrace. I also went to have one yesterday. Nice experience. I didn't wear my mask and people around me also were not wearing masks. The waiter that came to the table was wearing a mask and gloves, and I also saw that there was a lot of disinfecting of tables and chairs going on as well, which was good to see. Regarding the payments, good to see that your wife and her mother have finally got their money in the bank, because as we mentioned over the last couple of weeks, there were some problems with the furlough payments here in Spain, but hopefully it's all sorted out now, or will be shortly. One here from Ray: Spain is continuing to come out of this. In the last 24 hours, there were no deaths and only 71 new cases. In Portugal, on the other hand, we still had 200 new cases and 14 deaths, almost all of them in Lisbon. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Ray. Ray's a long-time contributor to the comment section here on the channel. And you're right, yesterday there were no deaths reported and 14 in Lisbon apparently, which is a bit strange considering that Portugal was a country that was handling this situation a lot better than here. So I'm surprised to see that there were 14 cases there and none here in Spain. But again, as we saw before, the baile de números, I'm not sure exactly if that is true or not, but that is what people are accusing the government of at the moment. But again, we don't really know if the figures are to be believed, but 0 cases yesterday, which seems like good news. One here from Tellboy. Cheers, Stuart. Keep up the good work. We live in the extreme northwest region of Granada province. Our normal weekly big food shop with special dietary needs is to large supermarkets in either Córdoba or Malaga provinces, which are only a stone's throw away. However, the same shop in our province is in Granada City, 70 kilometers away. Can't take the chance in traveling out of province, as in this area the Guardia Civil are very keen imposing fines to increase their coffers. Sooner they allow mobility between provinces, the better. Yeah, Tellboy, can be a bit of a dilemma at the moment, and people don't really want to take the risk of traveling to another province, even if you have to go to the supermarket and it is closer, which is your situation. You could get stopped by the police and you could get a fine. We're just going to have to wait for that phase 3 stage, and hopefully Malaga and Granada are going to join the rest of Andalusia going into that phase 3 stage sooner rather than later. And when that does happen, you will get that mobility between provinces back, and hopefully you'll be able to travel to your supermarket and get the things that you need rather than taking the long trek to Granada, which is obviously a little bit uncomfortable for you guys there. One here from Steve. It's interesting to watch as Spain eases restrictions. In the UK, we have let people out during some of the nicest weather and the beaches and beauty spots have been rammed. But so far, this does not seem to have had much effect on the numbers contracting the virus. Early days, but could it be fresh air is the answer? We seem to have killed thousands here by keeping them locked in and cohabiting with contagious partners. Yeah, good questions there, Steve. That is the debate. Is fresh air the secret to this? And if it is, then the lockdown that we have been to has been the wrong strategy, obviously. And as you said, there have been lots of people getting infected because of closed spaces. Are people better off in the open air? That's the debate. What do you reckon? I believe it is. Let's see. And finally, one here from Eurotrash on Tour. Have you been dyeing your hair? Can you speak Spanish? To answer the first question, no, I do not dye my hair. Some people have accused me of this in the past. I have one of these heads of hair that has different colors in it. Sometimes it looks a bit reddy on top. Sometimes it looks a bit brown, a little bit of gray on the side. So a bit of a different color scheme going on top of my head. Can I speak Spanish? Sí, hablo castellano. ¿Algo más? On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Remember, stop the insults. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.